Welcome everybody to a special podcast of Touken Rambles. Due to a lot of time constraints, we decided to move the review of the recent stage play. I'm going to butcher this, so I'm going to let Jesse handle this, the title.
Jyoden Mitsuraboshi Katanagatari.
Thank you, Jesse. We will be reviewing that separate from our usual monthly overview of events to save time, and will be released at a certain date. So with me, I have the same cast from our latest episode. So I'm once again Marissa, your host, joined by lovely Jesse and Sarah. You want to introduce themselves?
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
All right, and once again, we have a special guest with Alexi.
Hi. What's up?
So, same crew coming back with you from last month. So, the most recent stage play just got about was it a month ago? Just got released on to DMM's website for streaming, and that's where we all watched it. And so
we're going to be talking about Butai Touken Rambu Jyoden Mitsuraboshi Katanagatari, right? And Sarah, having seen it the most recently of all of us, would you like to give a very, very, very brief summary?
Pain
just
feels.
a glimpse into it. Pain feels.
I can, I guess, sure. So
like 2 sentences.
Lord. Okay. So this one is where time gets wibbly wobbly, and your instances of coming back to the map multiple times comes into play in order to take on the Time Retrograde Army as per usual. And you go from your first unit from before they do Burning Hononoji. Assume I didn't butcher that name. Another unit, and then again. And things go wibbly wobbly. There we go.
Okay, so starting out for this one, this is the 3rd stage play, minus the special, the Odawara Castle special. But the full-length stage play, we have a lot of new swords with us, but some familiar ones as well from the other stage plays. The first set, because there are 2 groups,
3.
kind of 2 groups that we go over in this one. The first group is actually the starter sword, Yamambagiri, plus the other 5 from the origins of the Citadel, correct? Maybe?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So,
Mamba,
we had Mamba,
Heshi,
Sayo,
Dodanuki,
Honebami,
Honebami, and Kakaka. Yamabushi.
Yeah.
Because we
Kyodai?
didn't mention him. Kyodai!
We will get to that soon.
Hi.
Good boy.
We'll get to that very soon. Now, the Mamba in this mission, we've always seen Yamambagiri as the head of these plays. And having to be the captain, but he's always had a little bit of trauma, right? So this first half of the stage play is where we see that trauma happen. And he's always been a little bit insecure, and we see that echoed throughout it. Mm-hmm. So,
especially with his confrontation with Hasebe.
including the confrontation with Hasebe, where Hasebe doesn't believe him to be the proper leader that he should be, that the Citadel deserves.
Connection with the Odawara short thing that we had.
Correct.
So
Heshi was being old Heshi.
Heshi
He
was
just
being
gets mad at all the other swords, even if they weren't really doing anything bad. Their existence just makes him mad for a second.
well, I found it like interesting because the first timeline that we cover is technically is in between the first stage and the second stage, because if it's kind of following around the Odawara special, we have like really confident Yamambagiri, because he gained some of his confidence in the first one, but it's really, we see a lot of that in Akatsuki, with him confronting Sayo and understanding his ability as a leader. So it's interesting to see the older Yamambagiri in this situation compared to the more confident one that we'll see later on into the stage.
Right. Now, as Sarah mentioned, it did get really wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey at times. And it was really, really confusing for that first half of the stage play. There were several moments where we were like, why are you confused? Talking to the
Like
characters
when they were
currently on the
walking?
stage, right?
Like when they were walking in the hallway and then they see the other ones. I think it was Mamba, and I don't remember who was with them, but they walked in the hallway.
It was him and Yamabushi.
Oh yeah, and then they saw the other three, and then they like started freaking out for no reason, and there's like, oh yeah, we gotta go, and then it just kind of like ran away.
Well,
And
they
I
were
was
freaking
dying.
out because wasn't Dotanuki supposed to be with them?
Yes,
Yeah.
because
And then Dotanuki wasn't
he
with
was.
them.
yeah, I found that scene the first time, like I was like really confused. I was like, why are they freaking out? Oh wait, maybe they're trying to be like, hold on guys, we're undercover right now. Let's not interact because things. And at the same time I'm thinking, did they just leave Dotanuki in the banquet hall with the Kuroda
Those
clan?
were
Like
my
where
thoughts.
is he? And then when we get the time switch, we're like, wait a minute, that's future them going snap, running into past Hasebe, Sayo, and oh my gosh,
Bami?
Bami,
Sayo, Bami,
and
Heshi.
Hasebe,
and Heshi. Yeah.
and they're just like, ignore us. We're just gonna go this way.
I noticed something was a little awkward. Actually, at the very beginning, when Sayo looked out the window,
Point. Hi. Sorry.
Sayo was the one who he raised a red flag for me. I was like, okay, now I know that like when you're hiding somewhere, you're gonna check out there, but what is out there? Are you gonna tell us that there's something out there, or are we just gonna act like there's nothing out there? Because he was staring for a good moment before he turned back to everyone else.
I actually, as Jesse mentioned earlier, I did just see this again. Actually, right before we recorded this, I was rewatching, and our video quality is much better this time. And if you notice, you can actually see bright yellow hair peeking out in the window corner before Sayo turns to look out.
Oh my
You can
gosh.
see Hakata looking in.
It would though.
So, a little bit of clarification. There are two groups happening from different time periods in this one point of history, but they are the same swords from the same citadel. And it's wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, but the way they handle it on stage helps you follow which group that you're actually focusing on.
Time
And you
flippy
don't really
flop.
realize what's happening until the halfway point. So
Yep.
for us, as we look back on it, we're mixing the two. So just so that people are able to stay with us a little bit, yeah, that's what's happening.
Yep. I liked how they did the time. They made it very evident with the in the background. They had the digital seal just flipping around that had I'm trying to remember what the kanji was on them.
I know, I can't remember it off the top of my head.
Mm.
I should have had you take a picture, Sarah.
Yeah, but they have different kanji and the colors change as well. So you're like, okay, this is the past. This is the past team, and this is the future team. So, and they cross paths at a couple of times, and those are some of the funniest moments throughout this entire
Can we get back to
stage
the
play.
sliding door scene?
Yes.
Oh Lord.
After the two groups collide, right? And Buchan and Yama-chan run offset, the retrograde army walks through. See the three swords and turn and walk the other direction. And the swords just look at each other like, no, we didn't just. Wait, what? And they do this group head twist. And it kills me every time.
And listening, like, because a lot of times you don't hear too much from like Japanese audiences, but you could hear everyone just laughing hysterically in the audience because of the gag. So that made me happy.
Yeah. So following from there, we get a little bit of interaction between Bami and Hideyoshi.
Because they get kidnapped, essentially, because of their running off stage chasing the Time Retrograde Army and
Actually, let us back up because we are actually missing another really funny scene that makes more sense for the future. Remember when oh gosh. Oh, I'm getting the kurudas mixed up in my head.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. I know which one you're talking about.
Oh,
where Nagamasa,
first, like,
Nagamasa, Kuruda Nagamasa, like, encounters our group of, we'll say Unit 1. We're going to call the past group, or for clarification, we're going to call them Unit 1, and Unit 2 is the future group, and then there's a special Unit 3 that happens later on. But we'll get to them eventually. So Unit 1 runs into Nagamasa and
Spear Dude
that's holding Nihongo. And it was just the most awkward scene. I was like, what is going on? Are they just acting poorly? I didn't know.
I mean, they were acting like they were acting, and it was beautiful. Yes.
We had that scene beforehand.
So then, going in order, Hideyoshi. So Hideyoshi is kind of in charge of this whole mess with Odawara Castle, as they're trying to, like, basically lay siege to it, which is what's happening throughout this, which is a little nice to know. There is something actually happening here. They're trying to take over the castle. I think at this point they had already done it.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, time. I can't remember what year this point of the play is supposed to be in.
I was trying to figure that out too. And
don't ask me.
But with Hideyoshi being there, he was the former master of Honebami Toshiro. So when Honebami, who has no memories, comes into contact with Hideyoshi, he spazzes out, freaks out, and faints because influx of memories, but only fragments, and you just want to reach out and give the poor kid a hug.
That's a common thing, though, is anytime Bami is having severe struggles this entire stage, you just want to give the child a hug.
He is such a good boy.
Yeah, he is. Bless him.
Yes. He comes back into play very shortly, because he is a very, very crucial character to to preserve the life of a certain certain Kyodai.
Can we
Yeah.
just save that point for the? Because I don't know about anyone else, but Alexi and I both did not catch the thing first time through. So
Yeah, we'll
now,
save that for a minute. Because we got a bit to get there first anyway.
But that was
So-
just painful to
Since-
see Tommy.
As we were watching this, we didn't really have subtitles for this. So the original plan was for us to try and watch it as a complete unit. So we could like bounce off of each other, like, oh, did this happen? Like, I think it happened. But unfortunately, it didn't happen like that. So poor Sarah and Alexi had to watch it on their own. Marissa and I had to watch it on our own. But I was able to follow it a little bit more. Marissa was able to follow it pretty well. And Alexi and Sarah seemed to follow it pretty decently too. But in case there were some things that were a little still confusing, yes, Kuroda did want Hideyoshi to die. Kuroda wanted to become one of the 3 stars, Mitsuraboshi, which is what that means. One of the 3 stars of Japan, which goes into a whole other aspect. Do you want me to do that now or later?
We could probably do that now because
Okay.
it's important, but not like super critical plot wise. So
I mean,
yeah,
so-
okay. Later
so
on,
we-
yeah,
later on? Okay.
yeah, when we get to Unit 2, because that's a little
Okay,
more
when we get to
important with
Unit
them.
2, I'll cover the Mitsuraboshi bit. Yes.
And Kuroda with his little connection with the History Retrograde Army and the fact that he was working with them.
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. Which is, that was a great moment early on when they realized, you know what we
Touken.
are? You
I
want
was-
us dead?
I was so shocked. I was like, or Alexi likes to say, shook. I was shook.
I'm always shook.
Because I was like, wait, what now? Hold on a second. Because even in like previous stages in musicals when they've had contact, no one has known what they are, but he's saying specifically what they are. How? How does he know?
I was shook. I
Yeah.
was so shook. I was like, you shouldn't know. You shouldn't know. I was literally like, you should not know. You shouldn't know at all.
And it's always been like a question I think in most people who plays the game's mind is they pretty much go in and they can't interact with the humans. It's literally something they constantly mention in musical stage. We try not to interact with our former masters so we don't have this problem. And yet they are literally being identified as the Touken Danshi, which means spaghettios.
Like,
Yep.
not only do they know, like, hey, we're spirits of swords, or like we're not really human, they know exactly what they are. They know who the enemy is, and they're not being manipulated by the enemy. They are working alongside the History Retrograde Army, which just
Yep. I actually really liked the Portuguese guy.
He scared me.
He was scary, but he was really funny, and I was not surprised when he turned out to be bad.
oh yeah.
But he cracks me up. Shows up, is like, everyone, I love you all, and then he's like, oh, okay.
I will say his motivation was, if I understood it right, was interesting, but we'll get to that at the end. That was just a little surprising.
Yeah. Let's just save that bit for a little bit later when we also get to the Mitsuraboshi bit.
All
So
the
that's at the
spoilers.
same part. Yeah.
But when it comes to the fact that they knew, and because of future things, when they get captured, like a handful of them get captured and put into jail with Hideyoshi, I started to cry when Nagamasa was like, Heshikiri Hasebe. I was like, no, No, I'm not a big fan of Hasebe in the stage, but this is giving me massive amounts of emotions and feels right now, and I can't handle it. I just couldn't handle it.
Let's just go ahead and give Hasebe all the credit, all the love, because this child, I honestly am not a huge fan of Heshikiri Hasebe. Was not, I should say, because Danu Danu and his nicknames increased my love of Heshi quite a bit from then on. And then just throughout this whole stage play, Heshi is such a great character, and he needs to chill at times, but he is a really good boy who just needs a little bit of love, and yes.
And maybe know when to
Will
focus
be-
on his facial expressions at times, because sometimes it's very Heshi, honey, are you okay? Are you good?
But he didn't talk with his eyebrows this time.
You are not
Aw,
wrong.
but I missed that.
And wasn't screaming Nobunaga, Nobunaga over and over again.
Nobunaga, Nobunaga.
No, Jesse, no. We are not going back down this dark hole.
And the funny realization when you find out the actor for Hasebe was actually Yahava in the Haikyuu stage play. You just
Lord,
can't unsee it ever
indeed.
again.
Yeah. Anyway, so while Heshi and crew were in the cellar,
Essentially a cellar.
in the whatever
Dungeon.
dungeon,
Prison.
when they were in the dungeon, that's when the thing happened, right?
Thing.
I'm sorry, guys.
You realize how
The-
many things are happening in this?
There's a lot of things, Jesse. You have to clarify.
there are a lot of things, but let's be honest. The thing that clued us into this whole stage play, because of a certain clip that a certain person happened to stumble upon.
Not me this time.
That happens after
No.
the dungeon because they're running away.
Because remember, Heshi
Oh,
is
well.
using his sword like an old man to hobble along behind them.
Okay, yeah. Never mind. So it wasn't long after that, though.
No, it was not. Because then we get into epic fight scene.
Yeah, epic fight scene against the Portuguese guy.
Huh.
And we see 2 Yamabagiris.
Dun, dun, dun.
That confused me. I was like, why? How did this happen?
Oh,
How do you do a thing?
also, the hug.
Huh.
The hug.
The bomby hug.
The bomby hug.
Do you know how much rage I had earlier when I realized the thing? Huh. Huh.
Gee, I don't know. How much rage did you have, Sarah? Was it as much rage as you getting, 50 shishios?
By the way, you can collect the one that came home today.
No, no, and no. You can have him. He can go babysit your old men.
Sarah, I practically felt like a deadpan stare in your silence.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
But yeah, so the balmy hug where he pulls Yamabushi close, and it's like he whispers something, pats him on the back, and then just vanishes. And we're like, okay, bye.
And I
And then
knew
the next
something was weird there because he wasn't acting injured like Unit 1 Bomby was. So I'm like, there's something timey-wimey happening in this play. I remember reading about that. So maybe this is future Bomby. Why he's hugging Takaka? This better not be a reference to that clip.
I didn't even see the clip. I think I was the only person in this group who had not seen the clip. And you're like, Marissa, we can't say
didn't
anything.
see the clip. We didn't see the clip. We only heard about the clip because only one person saw the clip.
I don't even think you guys didn't even tell me what happens. You're like, no, I'm not telling you, Marissa. I'm like, oh, okay.
For good reason.
For good reason.
Yeah.
So when it happened,
It was a hard night, okay? I didn't know what I was watching. I was just trying to have a good time on the Touken Ranbu tag, a Tumblr, and then I saw the clip, and I was shook and sad, and I went to sleep. And then I mentioned it to, I think, Sarah first.
Yes, because you're like,
Yep.
is he okay? Does something happen? And I'm just sitting here like, as far as I'm aware, he's good. And then you tell me the clip in excruciating detail, and it sets us all off on hours of hunting.
Yeah, I was even walking around the mall, scrolling through Tumblr, trying my very bestest to find it again, hiding through all of the Hanamaru and Shiken Ranbu stuff that makes me happy, looking for that one bit of sadness that destroyed my life the night before. Nope. Nope.
So let's stop beating around the bush, John, shall we? What happened in this clip?
Yoda!
We actually
Ugh.
saw a sword break on stage. In canon, the sword actually broke, and it was done phenomenally well.
I
It
think
broke our hearts along with it.
I will just say this. I was watching it on one of my days off. My mom is in the other room. And I'm just watching it, and she's constantly calling me to go, like, do something. And I'm like, Mom, I have to sit through this 3-hour stage play, and you are interrupting me. And I got to that scene, and I just had to pause. I'm just sobbing. I would probably have cried harder if she wasn't in the next room and come running over and be like, what's happening? And I'm just like, just snotty and upset because it was
Mood.
like war flashbacks to Tombokiri almost like breaking in Katsugeki. And I was like, you can't do this to me again. They didn't do this. I can't believe they did this. And I'm messaging Jesse going, I was about to. Actually, I don't think I messaged you until afterwards. And I was like, okay, I have to see how this plays out. I have to see Yamabagiri just freaking out because I didn't even get to that part. I just got to the shatter. And then all of a sudden, blessed be Omamori. And I'm just like, yes, he had the thing. He lives. And I'm just like, I'm done. I'm done. And I messaged Jesse and I'm like, I can't believe that just happened. They messed with my emotions. I'm a snotty mess. And he lives, but he died.
And it was his breaking line too, which, ow, please, why? And at least you figured out the Omamori. Like, we were hoping, but as we were saying, like, Alexi and I are on 2 different ends of campus messaging one another as we're watching, and yeah.
We were a lot closer than you think. I was at Megan's apartment.
What? You just came over. Then I would have been. You probably heard my screaming all the way from over there. Then
I couldn't hear it over my screaming. What are you talking about?
Meanwhile, I was watching this at what was it, Sarah? Like almost 3 a.m. that I got to that part.
Yeah, because I fell
And
asleep. I fell asleep at 2:30. I left you alone. I'm sorry.
Yep.
You
And then it
decided to
took me
rewatch
till
the whole thing instead of just starting where we'd stopped, though, in my defense.
We hadn't even gotten that far.
40 minutes! That 40 minutes would have had you a partner for your pain.
Well, there was happiness before the pain, and I wanted the happiness again. And then it took me till 3 a.m. the next night to completely finish it because struggles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our first sword actually breaking instead of being like, hey, we're going to tease you and make it seem like they got severely hurt and could have broken like they did in Katsugeki. I pretty much headcanoning that Tombokiri essentially hit the red and almost shattered, but didn't. So
yeah.
Or got pushed to the side, like how it happens sometimes where they don't hit. They hit 1 HP and they just get thrown. That's essentially what happened to Tombokiri. But no, Yamabushi broke right in front of us.
Especially, we can also see how we can see ourselves as Saniwa and Yamambagiri because they're poor Buchans, like, we need to go home and we need to regroup and we need to recalibrate what we are doing before we take on this enemy that we are not ready for. And Yamabagiri's just like, no, we can do this. We will not fail. We can go forward. We can press through this, and we will make it out. We have all been there. We have all broken a sword that way. And they almost did, but at least, okay, maybe not all of us. You haven't done that
I
yet.
panic when they hit orange.
You are a good Saniwa. You do not break your babies.
You're not Tutu.
Tutu, I love.
No
But
more field trips for the second unit.
Yeah.
But it's that moment where you finish a node and it pops up like continue or leave, and you go to hit continue, and it's like, do you really want to when your swords is red? And the only Yamabagiri says yes, and you just scream and say no.
Exactly.
Just made a big old mistake.
and the fact that this like clearly was painful to him, as he references this instance in and I'm pretty sure he references this in Hononoji. Yeah.
Hononoji?
It gets, I can't pronounce this. At least I'm not calling it Hononojiji again. So,
Bless.
it does get referenced again though at some other point in one of the other stages. My brain's not functioning at the moment. And he's like, "Are you sure you want me to do this after that?" So now that we actually know the instance, it's like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yep. It definitely makes me feel bad every time I have to pull my team out of a mission, though.
Yeah, because I know they reference this again in the future team when they get to a part where Yamagiri probably should pull out, and he's like, "All right, we're gonna pull out," and they're like, "Good, we're gonna go regroup elsewhere because we don't want anyone getting hurt." So, and of course, that essentially ends like part one with them retreating.
Because Danu is amazing and finally literally holds on to Heshi and Mamba and is like, we need to go home.
Yep.
When the sword who is all eager to fight tells you need to leave, you listen and you leave.
Yep. Because in the beginning, when Bami was hurt, him and Hasbe were having their little tussle of, do we go back to the Citadel or do we continue? And Hasbe was like, I need to leave. And Donuki's like, I will fight. And just walks off. And you're like, there's Tanuki.
I just have so much love for him now, too. Like, again, with the nicknames.
Danu.
All the nicknames that he gives everyone. But then just him and his comments saying, oh, it doesn't matter if you don't have memories, if you do have memories, if you're real, if you're a copy. It doesn't matter. We were made to do something. Let's go out there and do it. And yeah, he's a great character. His actor's phenomenal. Instead of having one character who talks with his eyebrows, we have one with quite the eccentric eyes in general. Oh. But yes, Danu is amazing.
So I guess that ends part one.
So, yes. Into part two, we get a brief moment back at the Citadel.
Hilarious.
A brief moment back at the Citadel where we get to meet some new swords. We get Sohaya no Tsurugi, we get Hakata, and we get Nihongo. And we get to see them interacting and learning about that first mission too, which I think was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Adorable.
I think Sarah nicknamed Sohaya no Sunshine Puppy.
I have two nicknames for him: Portable Table Child because of his stupid breastplate, and Sunshine Puppy. Yeah.
Well, Sunshine Puppy, I approve of.
Yes.
Because it's easy to remember and easy to say.
Table child.
Table child. Wow.
Legitimately, like he's like, you know, when you're on an airplane and they do those little table desk things. That's what he reminds me of.
Oh my god, the tray tables?
Yes.
He's a tray table
Table?
child. Portable table child.
Oh my god.
Oh, they used to have those for cars too, where like they would attach to the driver's seat so the kids in the back would have like a table.
Oh my god.
That's beautiful. That's not helping change his other nickname, Jesse.
It's
No.
really not, but
It looks like
I-
a
I
giant bib
felt
too
like I
at
had to.
times.
Although, if he really needs to figure out the fact that he shouldn't have it attached around his neck. Because seriously, all it will take is someone going bam on it. He's going to strangle.
Okay.
Look how the
Yeah.
ropes are wound for to attach his breastplate when you get a chance. Trust me,
Yeah.
you're going to regret life choices.
It literally wraps around his neck.
It's a Mike brother thing. So
Yeah.
It's not a thing.
yeah, it's not. But Sunshine Puppy is kind of clueless at times.
He is clueless. He's just along for the ride, basically. Like, he has no real connection to what's happening here. He doesn't even have any words for. Does he have words for Mamba? Like, regarding being a copy and
A little
doing
bit.
that?
We
Okay.
get some of it, but I don't feel it was as important compared to the talk. It was I'm trying to remember who Yamamagiri talked to. I think it was Mikazuki Yamamagiri talked to in the previous play in
Mhm.
Akatsuki, kind of helping him when he was having issues with talking to Sayo and trying to relate and trying to
Chestnut
be a
scene.
leader. Yeah, it was the chestnut scene. It was mostly Mikazuki and I think a little bit of Kasen as well. Kasen helped Yamamagiri kind of understand Sayo a little bit more. So I felt that those conversations were more important than Sohano Tsurugi's conversation about the whole copy thing. Because I think he'd already come to terms with being a copy at that point. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was still fun to see another sword in there as well.
It was fun to see him interact with Hakata.
Oh yes.
Oh.
He like covered up the telescope at one point, or binoculars.
Yeah.
And poor Hakata looks so confused.
And then he whops him afterwards when he figures it out.
Yep.
Yeah. And then he doesn't really have Sohano Tsurugi doesn't have like we said, he doesn't have a connection with either to like the Kurara or Hideyoshi because he was a Tokugawa sword. So he was owned by Ieyasu, so who was not in this one. He was in Yotose, the musical. So
You know, it's really cool to see Hideyoshi involved in something, though, because he is a very important character. Historical figure. Oh my
there we go.
Same.
I'm sorry, my brother was throwing popcorn at me. I was distracted.
But we get that fantastic rock weightlifting scene.
Oh my
gosh.
Yamabushi and
That was my
Yamabushi,
life.
Doranuki, and Sohayano, and then we have Bami.
I think
Bami for the win, guys.
wasn't the Bommy scene at the end of the musical?
Yeah.
Okay,
But
yeah,
still.
maybe. That was the one that came to mind, though.
But the first one was just I believe it was just Yamabushi and Dodanuki.
It was Sohio first.
Oh, it's Sohio. Yeah, because
Because he
Dodanuki
tossed
does it.
it at Sohio and
And he goes and just
yeah.
drops it. He's like, oh, this is a lot heavier. And Yamabushi's just like one-handing this. What someone would just bench press?
Yep.
What? This man is just. We know he's not human. He's a Tokendanchi, but at the same time, he's just superhuman at that point with his strength. It's ridiculous. But if the anime tells us anything, Yamabushi is crazy strong.
Oh yeah, he
He's
tosses
strong and
logs.
crazy in general. Tosses logs over a cliff.
But his thing is, trying to remember the very beginning, but he talks about his muscles all the time. The roar, my muscles, is one of his lines when attacking. So I think he has more of a connection to his muscles than Dodanuki does, because The muscle heads.
That even Mutsu and Kashu will back away from the muzzlehead room.
Oh yeah. But it was I like that scene because it kind of made it very lighthearted after dealing with the sadness at the end of part 1.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It really did.
Indeed.
To see him actually being like still being happy and being Yamabushi and having like really no cares to the world, and you're just like, okay, everything's fine. All is not lost.
When you didn't pick up on the thing before, so you thought it was you thought it was like a different Yamabushi. Or at least that's how
Oh,
I
like a
felt,
second-
because I was lost. I'm
Oh
like,
no.
oh
Like a
no.
Katsugeki Yamabushi.
What you mean
Please
Kunihiro?
no. Jesse,
Katsugeki
no.
Kunihiro.
Kunihiro.
No.
Oh no.
Wrong
No.
Kunihiro,
Anyway.
Jesse.
We talked about this at Sammy's, so
Anyway.
stop it, Jess. Bad.
Bad Jesse. Moving on down this Bill's train.
Moving on. So after that, we got to go and redo the entire thing.
Because surprise
And-
ninja thing.
Unit 2 was surprise unit. Surprise ninjas and just trying to fix mistakes, but then them really realizing, oh, we actually kind of succeed.
It reminded, like, they're going back into time and finding out, hey, we're in the same timeline as we were before, and we're running into our past selves. And some of those scenes, especially with them pushing the is it
Nagamasa?
Nagamasa, pushing him and Spear Guy with Nihongo, ironically, pushing them out in front of their past selves reminded me of something like, it reminded me of the Time Turner sequence in the third Harry Potter. Just the fact that, like, wait,
Yes.
something like when they're sitting at the pumpkin patch and they're like, we're still talking to Hagrid. They're supposed to be, and they notice and they're like, we're the ones who cause it, and they just like throw the rock. It was kind of reminding me of that, like, oh, we're not supposed to interact with it, like cause changes to the future, and then they're like, wait a minute, we're what caused this, and we have to do that. Go. Mush. So just hilarious in and of itself. Just a lot of those funny scenes, like the Sayo looking out the window because of Hakata being Hakata.
Hakata just wants to make sure that Bami is okay. He's just got to check in on his Nii-chan, okay?
Can we just appreciate in the scene with the looking through the window, the fact that when Mamba and Kakaka leave and they all have to essentially play Wax Museum, and so you just have Hakata with his arms outstretched and Heshi with his arm, like looking like he's trying to do a claw motion or something, so they all just literally freeze in the moment, and it killed me when I first saw it.
They are fantastic at Wax Museum statue poses. So I would be terrified to play any game like that with them.
There are also a handful of scenes where you see future Yamabagiri and Yamabushi being like, okay, we're going to go really quickly check something, and they go off stage, and then they loop around somewhere, and they become past them, which is the switching of all of that was like really well timed, and had to really probably confuse the two of them sometimes, thinking, okay, we're now this, we're not, and then they would come back later on, and it was kind of funny to see that.
Kunihiro Kyodai for MVP.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
With
definitely.
all of the running around they did, oh my gosh. I
Just
can't even
laughs.
imagine. It was every time they left, and they did it so well and so seamlessly. I was thoroughly impressed.
So I was about to actually.
So
Speaking of stand-ins,
Mine just
I think that happens at some point. We can talk about it because it just kind of happens at an indeterminate point of time, but it is kind of how Yamabushi is saved. We kind of get that.
So when we got back to the Citadel, Bami is still suffering from like the nightmares and all of the terrifying memories that kept popping up in between the flames, and he was really confused and concerned. He was sent to go greet a sword that had just manifested. And that sword was none other than Mikazuki Onichika, who unfortunately was not our normal actor. It sounded like his voice though, so I assume they got it recorded.
And they did have the whole, when they do the flame sequence memory thing, they have him there, so he must have came in for a brief stint and vamooshed.
Yep. He's been working on a bunch of other things, but in his stead we have small Gigi. Which he's a good actor. He did really well for the stand-in, but Bami was a lot taller than him, and it was a little odd.
It was hilarious.
It was hilarious. They had a great reconnection scene though, and Mikazuki knew who Bami was, and he was trying to talk to him as if Bami remembered, but then Bami apologized, saying, "I am really sorry, but I don't know who you are. I don't know what's happening. I have no memories." And instead of being helpful, Mika's just like, "Oh, okay, never mind," and just moves on. And it kind of hurts a little bit.
But he was helpful.
He was super helpful in different aspects, not in the Bami memory aspects, but in the other aspects, such as the Mamori charm that the master had given to Mika. Mika had in turn decided, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to give this to you, Honebami." And Honebami knew what needed to happen next.
And that is where we come full circle with the Yamabushi hug.
The Yamabushi hug.
Where he slips it in. He hands it to him, doesn't he? He doesn't just slip it into his pocket.
I think he slips it into like behind his. You know how his robes have that weird floof in the back? I think he slips it in his back. Okay.
The floof or the tail?
Like he
We're gonna go with the floof.
So like so like the back layer has enough breathing room. The black of his orange layer, okay, the back. He slips it in the back between the layers. I think. All I know is I was just spazzing because you could see the bright blue Omamori in his hand, and I'm just like, how do we miss this first time? I don't know. Okay, bye-bye.
They flipped it, because when we saw it the first time, Bami had it in his right hand, but when we saw it the next time, like, they purposely, like, changed the perspective to where we actually saw him slip it in. Yeah, I think so. Either way, they made it more obvious this time, and also the fact the camera zooms right in, so
that does work.
Yep,
it helps
definitely helps
the online and eventual DVD and Blu-ray viewers to be like, wait, what? That's what happened? Oh! But a lot of, thanks to the future thing, we get a lot of the loose ends as to how Nagamasu Kureda knew Hasebe's name when they introduced themselves. He introduces himself as Hasebe, and so when he gets captured, you're like, but does he ever know that he eventually is the owner of Hasebe? Because I don't think he does. That's what I thought.
He does. Oh my gosh. Okay. So that scene.
Because there was a couple of instances and things that I was just like, I couldn't understand. Like, you were talking about, the newly acquired Mikazuki Minochika. I'm like, wait a minute, this technically was the first bit actually happened for everything. I just came to that realization now. So.
Yeah. Yay!
Yay!
Understanding things.
Understanding things and talking to friends about these things. So.
Group efforts. But the Heshi scene with It's Nagamasa.
And Nihongo telling actually Heshi's name because he's reluctant.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
noxious cousin.
It's nearish the end. The Nagamasa is looking at Heshikiri Hasebe, and he just tells him, seeing you as you are now, as a manifested being from this blade that I have, the blade that is in our storehouses or whatever, I am so proud to hold you, like to own you, basically.
Okay, I thought that's what he was saying along the lines of like I thought he was saying something like I can't wait to obtain you. Like they hadn't yet obtained him, but I think now it's like okay, well now I'm gonna grab you out of the storehouse from where you're at, and I'm going to actually use you because
Yeah, that's
you
one
deserve
part that I can't remember exactly how it was said or how best to translate that part because it has been a couple weeks since I've seen it, and I did only get to see that scene once. But
either way Hasebe feels.
either way, Hasebe feels, and he hugs him, embraces him, and Hasebe is so elated, and he smiles, and he looks so happy, and it makes my heart happy, and it was a very, very yes. So when I was watching this, I would pause and take pictures to share with Sarah and be like, "This is where I'm at."
Yes.
And my
Life.
phone likes to recognize faces for me and let me know that, oh yes, I can do stuff with this. And I decided to play around with filters.
Your
And it was a
filters
lot
give
of
me
fun.
life.
It
was-
made sad
yeah.
scenes happy.
Yeah. I've got some great one of those, but they were a lot of fun. Yeah, that scene though, with he's just a great. I just love Hasebe now, and Nihongo being there looking at him like, "Are you okay?" And doesn't he actually like catch Hasebe
So
after that?
Hakuta actually literally sneaks over, steals Hasebe back, and pulls him over to the Nihongo Hakuta Mamba grouping of like penguin huddle that occurs. So Hakuta is like on Hasebe, and they're all just like kind of like waving hands in front of his face, and Mamba's about to poke his cheek before retrograde arm does her thing.
Yeah.
It's precious and adorable.
But speaking of the Snapchat filters, that reminded me. Can we talk about Kenbei Kuruda's like ridiculous helmet?
Is this the one that's the tin roof?
No, that would be Nagamasa.
sake cup.
Nagamasa had the weird like looked like a piece of paper folded over, like starting to curl over. Kenbei was it his dad?
Yeah.
Okay, his dad had a legitimate sake cup on his head. The red sake cup. Jesse called it the potted plant. I looked at it and said, Jesse, that looks like a sake cup. And she's like, that would make more sense because of the whole myth behind the story, not the myth. The story behind gaining Nihongo, who is like one of their prized treasures of the Kuruda clan, was won in a drinking game. So it makes sense that the head of the Kuruda clan, which I believe Kenbei was the one who actually got Nihongo. Do not quote me on this. I forget which Kuruda actually got him. I think it might have been way before, but he has a sake cup as a helmet. It's bright red.
Yep.
It's the weirdest hat. And just not the weirdest. One of the weirdest.
The silence at that one.
Because his son has just an equally weird hat, and so does Tokugawa Ieyasu with the weird. I also have his hat. He has like a Nagamasa like plate, like just behind his head, but he has a weird spire in the middle of his head, like Hocho. Like he's Kiwi Hocho's hat. So some of them have the most dumb helmets ever. Like, how does this help? You're the biggest target. Like,
At least they stand out.
they do.
At
And
least they'll be remembered.
I believe his Kenbei's is historically accurate, but it's really hard to find anything about him. So, I'm trying to think what else really happened with part 2, because a lot of it was just kind of recapping and them trying to like understand their connection with the past group and making sure that they can actually change it.
Nobunaga being referenced repeatedly is now the thing.
Yes. And then them rescuing, they actually rescue Hideyoshi. They're the ones who, well, no, it was Nagamasa that actually rescued Hideyoshi. Like right at the same time when he rescued the Touken Danchi. So we got to actually see that. So we got to see more about his perspective as well. And you'll get that in a minute, Sarah. If you haven't. Well,
I just will
kind
totally
of.
forget.
But we eventually get to the point where I don't even think they show the death of Yamabushi. I think they get to a point where they're just like, nah, we're going to change our history completely. But they run into the 3 previous swords that were not in this crew, which was Doronuki, Sayo, and Honebami. They join in because they were also sent by the Saniwa somehow. Don't know how.
And what's special about Sayo this time?
Sayo is Kiwi. Sayo is first Kiwame. He is first Kiwame. He has come back from his journey that we see in Akatsuki. And he's the first Kiwame that we get not counting Atsushi in Hanamaru because that was after this. So he's the first Kiwame in anything that we've seen. And he is precious and beautiful. And I'm so happy because they hinted at the end of Akatsuki. I was like, are they going to do it? He's wearing the travel garb. He has the rations and the letter set attached to his hip. Please, 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 please. And he did it. He is back. And he's kicked butt and his sword glowed.
His sword glows, and it was beautiful, and I was so excited. Kiwi
I
Sayo
know.
was amazing.
Sarah's happy.
I am very happy. Y'all know this. I'm just over here dying. You're fine. He's a good boy, and I got very distracted during that scene, though, because if you've watched Shinken Busai 2017, I made the reference at one point to Jesse, I believe, that it was like, I think they made Sayo's Kiwi sword out of the fire whoosh whoosh stick thing, because of the lighting. So
Yeah, because the way that it lights up looks just like it did when in Never Give Up. I forget what the actual name is, but when they have the fire whoosh whoosh sticks in the middle of Shinkensai.
Trying to remember that. It's been a while since I've seen it.
It's like one of the best parts of Shinkensai.
the one with Karabo.
The one with the Karabo
Fire
and
After Beautiful Tragedy.
Look. Okay, yes, it's right after that one. It's the only
Tragedy?
reason I suffered through that one.
The GG note problem one.
Oh.
See, Marissa doesn't really rewatch things, so she doesn't.
I have
quite...
okay. I did rewatch things before, but I haven't had time to rewatch things because life.
Understandable.
Yes.
Oh,
But I will
rewatched
eventually
them.
rewatch all of these when the wonderful subber puts out the subtitles. I will definitely rewatch all of them so I can understand them. I like watching it in Japanese and then going back and watching them be like, oh, I did understand it. But not until then. Because they're so long.
Long but worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, taking an apple from the concentration tree. Kiwi Sayo swipes in, saves the day, kind of with help from the others. Bami gives Buchan the Mamori. Danu Danu appears and then vanishes and helps, and yeah. But we get to the major understanding of why Kuroda is so adamant about working with the retrograde army and why he knows so much about the Touken Danshi.
I still don't understand it, so you're gonna have to explain because a lot of that was just dialogue of pure confusion at that point because it was so late. Well, it wasn't late. It was still in the afternoon, but I was trying to understand it. I was like,
Yay, more explanation time. Okay, so let's see. First of all, Kuroda, I think, was approached by the Portuguese guy, Yasuke. Is that his name?
No idea.
Yasuke?
Yasuke?
Yusuke? I don't know.
Yasuke? Anyway,
It was in the yacht line at the beginning.
I think it's Yasuke.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm fairly certain he had approached Kuroda because Yasuke was at Honnoji when Nobunaga died, and he saw the Touken Danshi, and he saw them prevent Oda Nobunaga getting help. And he was under Nobunaga's care. So he immediately, in his mind, was like, oh, no, these guys, these Touken Danshi are bad guys. And I want to stop them. And so he gets infected by the retrograde army. And then sees another opportunity with the Kuroda clan. And the Kurodas are like, oh, yes, there's a battle coming up there. We can rise up in history and become famous, and we will make our mark, and we will be known, and we will be just like Nobunaga, and become one of the 3 stars of Japanese history. Mitsuraboshi means the 3 stars. In the name, where we finally got the connection of the names. I know there was some thought that it might have been that the Kuroda Gumi, like Hakata, Nihongo, and Heshikiri, were the 3 stars themselves, but actually it was referring to Oda Nobunaga, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, and Tokugawa Ieyasu as the 3 stars. So we already had Hideyoshi as a 2nd star in this one, so Kuroda was like, oh, I'll become the 3rd star. I'll take out Hideyoshi. It doesn't quite work like that. But that's what he wanted.
Very
And so we
misguided.
finally have that whole conversation happen, and we realize, oh dear, yeah, you are not in a good spot, sir. You need to be smacked back into place. This is not your time. And we just see all of that falling into place, and then the swords swing in, and yeah.
Lemon. Yay!
Does that help make sense?
Yes, that
Kind
does.
of.
Makes a lot more sense.
Okay.
Because I understood some of it, like, it sounded like Kuroda wanted, well, Kenbei wanted to, because his son didn't. His son care about that. Kenbei wanted the power and the authority and the title like Hideyoshi, and that's why he was trying to get rid of him. But I was trying to understand what Yasuke's role was, because I kept hearing Honnoji, and I'm like, and Oda Nobunaga, and I'm like, wait, what is going on here? It's just crazy. Just this crazy guy that has it out for the Touken Danshi for some reason that has to do with Oda Nobunaga, and I don't know why.
So now you know.
So now I know. Wow, wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey, because Honnoji happened before, but he was angry at the Touken Danshi, but the Touken Danshi at the very beginning hadn't even done Honnoji. Our brain is starting
Right?
to now. Boom. This is what happens when you mess with time, and
Just imagine whenever you just realize now, oh, all the things too.
we need
So
to see.
congratulations, Jesse, on killing 3 other people tonight.
No, it makes more sense.
Hey!
It makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
We just need the Kebishi to show up now, because that would make all the more sense with the fact that they have gone back to the same time a second time and really messed with it. Like,
Yeah.
really messed
Oh
with it.
dear.
Mr.
So-
KBP just wants to say hello.
Mr. Kibishi is not here for tea, honey.
Well, he could be. You just don't know it yet.
He attacked my babies. I don't care about Mr. Kibishi anymore.
I have gotten my KBC drops. I just needed that one more, and I don't need to deal with them anymore. So yes, please stay away. Please stay away.
Mr. Kibishi's a nice guy. You just gotta be nice to him, and he will respond back.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's how I got to my current point in life, so.
Anyways,
Moving back.
my fault. I talked about the Kebishi, but so everything gets wrapped up all hunky dory. We get the scene with Hasebe and Nagamasa. Yeah. And
Nagamasa.
you get the feels from that, and then they head back. And we get the continuation of the rock scene.
Yes. That's the one with Bommy, and that one I just
Danu and Buchan, and then Bobby trying to lift it up,
but Bommy succeeding at lifting it up, and
his
Sohaino
little
just
shaky
stares
face.
at him like, how are you doing this? Shaky or not, he lifted it when Sohaino Tsurugi could not.
True. He has more determination than Sunshine Puppy.
Indeed.
A lot more determination.
That portable table kind of gets in the way.
Just a little.
But you were going to say something about the 3 stars, because I know you mentioned them, but they have to, was it just the 3 great, like, they're known as 3 conquerors, like essentially, like Sosa.
Yeah, it was the three unifiers of Japan.
Okay, these
the
3 unifiers.
Oda Nobunaga, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, and Tokugawa Ieyasu.
Is
That was-
actually reflected in the swords in the music and the stage play a little bit, because Hasebe is Nobunaga, Bami was Hideyoshi, and that's why they have Soha no Tsurugi, because he's Tokugawa Ieyasu.
There
Bam.
we go. There's the connection.
There we
Boom.
go. Figured it out. So technically they were the
Okay,
3
guys, we
stars.
can go home now.
We're done.
We're done. Bye.
We're done. Bye. But
Yeah.
and that pretty much wraps up the 3rd stage play.
Any overall final thoughts from you guys? Alexi?
Well, personally, after the nice experience of knowing that Buchan was safe and not at all like I had originally thought at 2 a.m. when I saw the clip, that was nice. It was the start of the age of well-behaved Heshi in my eyes, and it makes me proud that Heshi is calming down a bit. That's basically how I felt, because I realized how long ago it was since I watched it, even though it probably wasn't even that long ago. So
Like 2
all
weeks.
my emotions weren't as fresh as they were when I watched it screaming in my friend's apartment and crying and sending screen caps and wonderful pictures of Nihongo holding Heshi and sending them to Sarah. That's it. That's all I got.
Sarah?
Hi. All stage plays give me life. This one, was a roller coaster. A lot of things now make a lot more sense than they did before. So yay. Because totally skipped through quite often, especially earlier, a lot of the talk scenes, because at this point they go in one ear and out the other because Euro-Japanese knowledge. But yeah, it was beautiful and amazing. And as long as Heshi is near Nihongo and Hakata, he is much calmer, and I am very happy. Yeah. And they all need hugs. They need lots of hugs. And tea. Yeah, it's a great stage. I love it. I recommend it. Ta-da!
And Marissa?
I thoroughly enjoyed this one. The time skipping thing actually made a lot of sense. It was kind of nice, and it's finally come together, like Sarah said. But my only drawback is I like the first stage, yes, it had its issues and it had a lot of cast members. The second stage had like, was it 8?
Yes.
There was 8, which I felt was a perfect number because if you have more than a little bit more than the 6 that should be on stage, the other characters can really just kind of get thrown under and they don't get as much love and attention. And this one had 10,
9 out of
9.
10.
We had this. We had about 9 or 10. So that additional like 1 or 2 really just, and the fact that all those characters, a lot of those characters like Doronuki, Sayo, Honebami, Nihongo, and Hakata, those 5 really just, and Sohei no Tsurugi, so 6 of them just didn't get as much. They weren't on stage most of the time. They were only there like half times. The only characters that were there continuously were Yamabagiri, Yamabushi, and Hasebe. Those are the only 3 that were in both parts. And so it made it harder for those other characters to really like stand out. At times, I think Sayo got a little bit more because we've gotten character development from him from the previous stages, and also the fact that he Kiwamade and came back. So it was like, what? But characters like Dononuki, Honebami, Hakata, and Nihongo were just kind of, I just felt they were just kind of there. And I really wish we could have gotten more from them. Some might disagree, but I felt like there really could have been more. Like there wasn't like not stuff for them, but there could have definitely been more to give them a little bit more focus instead of just kind of being in the background. Like characters like Namazuo and Ichini in the first stage. Kind of sad because they're fantastic characters. Small little gripe, but it was wonderful, and it's probably one of my favorites when it comes to just the emotion that they brought to it, and it flowed really well too. So, yep. And
Well, I,
Jessie,
for one, think this one might be my favorite stage play, which I find really hard to say because they've just all been really good. One thing that I did find a little sad that wasn't there, but at the same time, it went just fine without it, was a scene similar to anything having to do with Shokudaikiri in the first 2.
Oh,
oh my gosh,
With Shokudai
Shokudaiki.
messing around with Mamba, which provided so much comedic relief in the first 2. But in this last one, we didn't have any scenes like that per se, which looking back, you're like, wow, we really didn't. But it didn't feel like it was needed. Because you can't have either of the first plays without those scenes. Otherwise, it just wouldn't have flowed very well. It would have been way too overdramatic. But this third one, there was the perfect balance between the comedic scenes with like the sliding door scene, any scene where Buchan and Yamabushi are like colliding into each other.
Buchan and Yamabushi.
Any any random mess like that just happens of its own accord throughout the third stage made it so worth it to follow it all through. And the way they handled the time travel was a lot better done than they handled the time loop of the second
Praise.
stage play, which was a lot harder to understand that, oh, okay, yes, this is a time loop. But in this one, it was very obvious, okay, we are going back in time. We are with a different group. We are the same group at this place. And yeah, I think they did a really good job controlling the character development throughout it. Some characters could have had more development throughout it as well, but again, they had to work with what they had, and I don't think they could have done a better job with it if they tried. So yeah, all in all, definitely recommend this one. Go check it out. It's on the DMM website. You can find out how to stream that and everything. It's really easy. It's pretty cheap too, as far as renting things goes.
Yep.
And
If you're unsure of how to actually get the stream, because it is a little complicated if you are outside of Japan, just type in how to DMM and you'll find Riku's guide to all of that. So very helpful.
yep, you can also, it will be on sale on DVD and Blu-ray starting, I think it's late April, sometime in April. It will be on sale, so watch out for that too. Support it, support the official release. With the DVD releases, you also get behind the scenes footage and curtain calls and multiple camera angles, and that's the same for any of the Touken releases. So definitely worth every penny you put into it.
I believe there's already pre-orders, but they will open up just orders in April.
Right.
That's when they ship them all out. Places like Ami are a good place to get them without having to like proxy, and usually they're a lot cheaper to get on there than trying to get through like the wholesaler. Well, you get a discount. So yeah, and they'll ship internationally. And
All right, guys.
that is it. Thank you guys for listening to a special edition of Touken Rambles podcast. We're probably gonna be doing this again in April for Suomo no Domo, the most recent musical. We were hoping to do that earlier, but due to it getting pushed back on streaming on DMM, we're gonna have to push it to April some point. So that'll probably be released after our March episode is released. So it'll be probably mid-April, in the middle, well, same time that we're releasing this one. So, all right, guys. Make sure you follow us on Touken Rambles podcast on Twitter, Podbean, and Facebook as well. And you can find us on iTunes. And are we on Google Play?
We are going to be on Google Play very soon.
All right. So this will hopefully be up on Google Play by the time you are listening. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
いざ出陣さ